What's up, everybody? Tom Pelissero here with Judd Zulgad on Wednesday. Judd, Vikings back on the field again today, starting their preparations for Seattle. Another matchup that could be tough for them. They haven't tackled real well, and they're facing a running back who breaks a ton of tackles in Marshawn Lynch, another quarterback who can move around. Certainly, the Seahawks don't have the receivers like Tampa Bay did, but they've got a really big group in the secondary. They rush the passer pretty well. There's a lot of things here, plus playing in that building. This is going to be a tough matchup for the Vikings.
Well, in the last two games, Tom, we have heard what? The Vikings have gone against small running backs, and we've been told they're tough to tackle, they're hard to bring down. Well, Marshawn Lynch is not a small running back. We're about to find out if this is a tackling epidemic problem or if really those two running backs the Vikings faced, Arizona and Tampa Bay, were that tough to tackle and they can bring down Marshawn Lynch. But this is a tough test, and as we all know, they're going to go Seattle, Detroit, bye, and then right into the meat of that schedule, and it's going to be really tough. So this is not a must-win, but it'll be very interesting to see how the Vikings come back from what was definitely, in my opinion, their worst performance of the season as a whole against the Buccaneers on a Thursday night.
I think it'll also be telling the fact that on Monday when they came back for that shortened first extra practice during the week after the Thursday night game, everything was about fundamentals. It was the fundamental of route running. It was on defense going back and looking through their run fits that they haven't changed in forever and just reminding people this is where you need to be. That sort of is telling about what they think went wrong against Tampa Bay.
Yes, and I thought it was very interesting on Monday. Percy Harvin talked pretty extensively about what's wrong with the offense. And it's not all Christian Ponder. And we've been saying that for a long time. Yes, Ponder is struggling. He's not playing well, but guys aren't running the right routes. They're already not that good at receiver. They can't afford to have guys. That's the key with this team. You can't afford to have a breakdown of fundamentals when you're already not that good of a team in this league, and that's the Vikings' issue. If you can't tackle, if you can't run at the right assignments, you're going to be in huge trouble, and we saw that catch up to them on Thursday, and that's why my contention has been that was really the first time in a long time I can remember for this year the Vikings looking unprepared for a game, because they were.
But also, what's the biggest thing that swings an NFL football game? It's generally going to be turnovers. And if you look at it, for all the things that went wrong, if they don't cough the ball up twice in the early going, if they don't have Chris Kluwe punt the ball out of bounds, if they don't have some of those little things that have nothing to do with all these things we're talking about in terms of being able to throw the football, being able to stop the run, they still would have been in that game. You know, you can look at it and say, well, Tampa Bay came out with an aggressive approach and dictated the game. And I think that they did to an extent, but when you're the team that generates turnovers, you're probably going to have a pretty good chance to win the game.
It comes down to this. It's very simple, right? The Vikings can't, this team cannot afford to make mistakes. If they make mistakes, they cannot overcome them. And that Tampa Bay game...
They're not built to play catch-up.
Yes, and that Tampa Bay game, what have we been talking about? All the mistakes, all the things. Turnovers kill you. Not being able to tackle kills you. Not running the correct route kills you. All of those things added up to what looked like an unprepared team.
And now with Chris Kluwe, no surprise so they bring in a punter to work out. They've brought in punters in the past, but usually it's a left-footed guy on Fridays to punt the ball down to their guys so they get used to the way that the ball spins. They bring in a right-footed punter on Monday. That augurs a little bit differently. That augurs, as one NFL player once told me, sometimes they bring those guys in just to get you to pull your head out of your ass, which is true. Sometimes it's, hey, just remember there's other guys out there who can do this job. I got a ton of feedback on Twitter and through emails from people saying that it's related to the fact that Kluwe needs to keep his head on football. He needs to be he needs to be focusing more. I would buy that if he played a different position. You're the punter.
Correct.
You're not analyzing tendencies in film. You've got really one job to do. And Kluwe has always done a million different things. He's always been playing music or playing video games or doing whatever else. The fact that he's gearing this now into something slightly more controversial and speaking out against the same-sex marriage amendment, people are going to, I think, put that in a different sort of a light. All of a sudden he's on the front page of the New York Times. He's a punter. There's a lot of things here that you don't normally see with punters. But in the end, he's gone through some rough stretches before. We've seen him have some terrible games. The fact that he gets booed at the Metrodome the other day, at a time when there's this other stuff going on, I think people are going to make the connection. But it's tough for me to do, knowing that guy's always had his hand in 10 different things.
Flat out, he needs to punt better. With the Vikings as a whole, organizationally, from upstairs, like him to shut up, absolutely. Football people never want their players to tell you what day of the week it is. That being said, long snappers, kickers, and punters, your teammates don't care. You're almost, unless you can't do your job, you're not factored. You've seen that. I've seen that. I've never seen a kicker or punter really embraced in the locker room. If you can do your job on Sundays, your teammates don't care. Antoine Winfield is not sitting there. Or Jasper Brinkley looking at Chris Kluwe and thinking, my God, his beliefs are really affecting this locker room. They don't care.
Kick the damn ball.
The only thing this comes down to is Chris Kluwe in 2008 accidentally punted to Reggie Bush 3 times in a game. Brad Childress got mad and brought in 4 punters the next week to try out so that Kluwe would get the message. The Vikings are doing that again, but does this come down to his political beliefs? Unless the Vikings from the up top believe that that's affecting him, which it's not, no, it doesn't. It comes down to performance.
And let's not forget, he's got Devin Hester 2 more times. His arch nemesis, Devin Hester, who's burned a lot
and
of
that freaks him out. I mean, that's a whole other subject because Devin Hester really does scare Kluwe. That's about the only thing that scares Kluwe.
Plus the election's next Tuesday, right?
I don't know how much.
So then if he has troubles after that, then what are people going to say then?
It's people like, well, it's Twitter. People love to get on Twitter and espouse their beliefs, but this comes down to performance. It's performance-based.
He's Judd. I'm Tom. Full Vikings coverage at 1500ESPN.com. We'll see you.